Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and I did have a video planned for later today. That will have to wait because Los Angeles Thieves have confirmed a roster change here for CDL 2021. Temp is out of the team, benched off the squad. Venom, this rumour we've been talking about for a few days now, comes to reality. Venom's in the team, Temp is out of the team after their reverse swept yesterday, after they got reverse swept yesterday by the New York Subliners. You do have to wonder if they didn't get reverse swept, would this roster change still be being made? Maybe it well would be because, well, they're clearly not championship contenders like they would like to be, but is this move a step in the right direction? Enjoy taking your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. And this yesterday from Cammy kind of sums up the situation of a lot of teams right now. Never been more one shot in my entire life on the Toronto Ultra, and well, I'm sure the Los Angeles Thieves guys felt relatively similar after their defeat last night. So this was the video that comes out just a couple of hours ago. LA Thieves roster update. Welcome Venom to the LA Thieves starting roster. So Jacob and Mogadog explained to some degree here, to some length, the fact that, look, this team wasn't living up to expectations. They come into the season with Slasher, Kenny, TJ, of course, and Temp on the squad. Initially, I believe they wanted Priestahh. I think Slasher talked about that on a podcast or something. The fact that they wanted Priestahh in the team, but given the whole drama that went down behind the scenes with Hex buying out the OpTic in Los Angeles spot, taking the branding for himself and then selling the spot back to Nadeshots, it took them a fair bit of time to get everything sorted behind the scenes, and by that time Priestahh had been snapped up by the Minnesota Rokkr in, well, potentially another change that might be being made there. We may well talk about that tomorrow if anything does come to fruition on that side. But, well, of course, Priestahh wasn't an option anymore. They bring in Temp instead, and it was one of those team decisions you think, okay, the last time Slasher and Temp teamed, I think it was the last time the team was way back in World War II on Envy, it was at the time. That was not the best team, didn't really seem to work out. They did have experience together, but if there was a change that I expected this team to make and someone to be benched, I suppose Temp would probably have been that guy. Feels like he was the easiest scapegoat for this squad, and it may well be a decision that makes sense. So the guys are talking about right here the fact, look, this team wasn't living up to expectations. We were looking to be championship contenders, and clearly right now, you know, we're not a level of FaZe, we're not a level of OpTic, we're not a level of Dallas, and even New York Subliners, who have been obviously a very solid team, but if we can't get past them, there's a, well, limited chance we're going to get actually past the big dogs in this league, of course. So yes, Venom comes in, Temp is gone. This is an interesting change because I think it does align with what I was expecting this team to do, but exactly how they're going about it is pretty interesting. They talk right here, I'll share the video real quick for you guys on screen, the idea that, okay, Venom's coming in as an SMG, but Kenny, given the fact that he's just transitioned to this SMG role again, they've been pretty impressed with him on that role. They actually have decided, well, at least for the near future, to actually keep Temp maybe on the SMG. Venom comes in as his SMG partner, and then TJ, who has had a bit of a rough time as of late, might even move to the flex. So I was expecting the fact that, okay, well, Temp would move out, and then, okay, Kenny goes back to the flex, which maybe he's more comfortable with, and then Venom comes in as the SMG partner to TJ. That's what we discussed earlier today. Maybe that is not indeed happening though, and they're going down a different route, but maybe it'll still be to the better of the team.
You know, we'd expect better than top 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing close for where we want to be. We want to be obviously competing for championships and at least be in that S tier range of teams. We know we're not right now. Our teamwork's been lacking, our crossfires have been lacking. We just know that we need to do something with the roster. So heading into stage 2 here, we're going to be inserting Venom into the lineup. Venom is a top rookie prospect. He started off the game with like 4 straight victories in challengers with that West R team. He's an aggressive sub, but he's really good at playing his life, and we're really excited to see how he'll work in with the team. We think he has a bright future, and we're hoping that this change will sort of be a catalyst to help us, you know, implement some of the changes that we talk about. When we switched Kenny to SMG, we definitely think he's that type of player. And we were super happy with like the transition that he's made so far, and we think he's doing well. So we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do role-wise with TJ versus Kenny on an SMG. Might give TJHaLy a little flex option. I know he talks a big game, says he can get a lot of kills with an AR. So
TJ loves talking about how overpowered every AR is. So he may just have his chance with an AR. I mean, we'll see. You know, that's the kind of stuff in COD that.
So Venom tweets this out, of course, hashtag LA Thieves, kind of been dominating the top half of the SMG talent, I suppose, in the North American Challenger scene so far this season, at least in the early half. We'll have a look at some of his results in just a second here. But why this change is kind of interesting to me is typically Slasher has always been the player who's, of course, the captain of this team, has always been on the side of, okay, look, we want to pick up someone who's proven, who's talented, who can do it, who's, you know, proven to be able to win on the biggest stage and stuff like that, who actually has some clutch factor that Slasher and the rest of the guys believe can actually do it when it comes down to crunch time. However, we've really seen these last couple of seasons, having players like that doesn't necessarily guarantee you wins. And even with Temp on the team that he's played with in the past, obviously that wasn't really the solution, right? So Venom, it's really the first time in the time that I can really remember that Slash is actually playing with someone who's, well, an up-and-comer, a rookie to the scene, and this may, well, spark new life, I suppose, into his philosophy of building a team if this does indeed go well. So this, of course, is what Temp says at the time. Best of luck to the team. Wish it could have gone better, of course, with the guys, but, well, it doesn't, and it will Temp be back anytime soon. It's tough to see a case where he does come back, because clearly that four-man squad was not functioning as they would have liked it to. This, of course, is what happens to the Los Angeles Thieves, unfortunately. Yesterday, Clayster reacts in this tweet right here to the subliners completing the reverse sweep, and you do wonder, okay, if they'd have won this series 3-0, would Thieves still be making the roster change? But regardless, they probably felt internally something wasn't going right, and as you can see right here, these are their results so far this season. So OpTic Chicago, this is way back at the Kickoff Classic with that 3-0. But to start out the season, Thieves look really good. They beat the Subliners in that crazy close 3-0, but the other series they won, at the time beating Rokkr seemed impressive. At the time beating Surge seemed pretty decent, I mean beating Royal Ravens as well. But now looking back on that, Rokkr are pretty bad. I mean Seattle Surge have actually improved quite a lot lately, but were pretty poor at the start of the season. And London were awful at the time as well. So you look at this 4-0 start and you think, okay, hang on a second, it's really not as good as it looked. And then they go and play Dallas, get 3-0'd. Then they go, of course, to the Major, they lose 3-0 to LAG. They beat Ultra, then they get, kind of wiped off the map by OpTic Chicago. And this is that kind of series, right? When you're playing OpTic, you're playing Dallas, and even this series lost to LAG, you're just looking at this thinking like, look, we want to win championships, we want to be the best. I mean, Slasher and Kenny have done it before. The Major, well, they've won the World Championships, they've been in Grand Finals of World Championships, they certainly want to win these events, and the fact that they're not able to even get close to some of the top teams in the game definitely indicated to me something's got to be done, and indeed, they do pull the trigger. This is where they sit so far. So actually they are in 5th, which isn't absolutely tragic, but well, still, New York are above them, the rest of the guys are above them. I think for a team with the highest of intentions as they do have, it's probably about time to switch something up, because if you don't change something now, I mean, if you leave it to the end of stage 2, you don't really have too much time to practice and get things grooving by the time the World Championship comes around. And it must be said that traditionally, when Slashers teams make changes, that does spell bad things for the opposition. We saw it with 100 Thieves, certainly in Black Ops 4. They make the change, FeLo comes out, Priestahh comes in. At the time, I mean, you can even look back on that and say, okay, it seems like something of a lateral move. I mean, there's not too much difference in skill between those two guys, but Priestahh clearly fit the team way better than FeLo did, and as a result, they improved dramatically and went on to become the best team in the game for a time, winning back-to-back championships at London 2019 and then Anaheim 2019 soon after that. So certainly you could think, is something similar going to happen right here? Yes, this time around, the league is incredibly more competitive, you could argue, than it was at the time, and well, therefore, Thieves are going to have probably a harder time getting the job done. But definitely, I think, probably the right time to make a change, and probably the right change to make. My question would be, of course, look, this SMG line that they have right now, is it going to compete? And that's the question that the guys brought up in the video. The fact that, look, these are the overall KDs. Simp has a 1.5, aBeZy has a 1.2. I mean, this SMG duo is completely out of control. And if you don't have that kind of consistent slaying power on your team, you are going to struggle. And a guy like Venom coming in for the Chan, decides super hungry to prove himself, is probably the perfect guy to try and give these guys a run for their money, or at least, well, try and put up some big numbers. Because we see Vivid, I mean, he comes here with a 1.37. He was in a similar position, to be honest, to Venom not too long ago. And now he's, well, considered one of the most promising SMG talents in the league right now is Vivid, especially after his series that they had against the London Royal Ravens a couple of days ago. Of course, they did lose it, so not too much you can read into that. But as round 11 stats also says on the Simp side of things, FaZe have played 14 S&D maps so far, and Simp has gone positive, or at least positive or even, in every single one of them. What is even going on right here? So you're probably looking at Thieves, and if you are Thieves, you're thinking, okay, looking at the Simp guy, what can we even do about it? We have to make some sort of move. Now, the question is, to me, really, what exactly are they going to do in terms of the roles? Because to me, it kind of made more sense, potentially. Let's just have a look at Venom's performances so far this season real quick. First in a number of these earlier Challengers Cups and everything on that Western team, before everything kind of went, well, poorly for that squad, and then they broke up, and Paulx now is on London. Zaptius and Gravity are still fighting their way through the pit, and then Venom has got picked up here. So certainly a very promising SMG talent so far this season. I think a lot of people speak really highly of him, and he's probably in a perfect position to help this Los Angeles Thieves squad out. But he's going to be the SMG partner, supposedly, of Kenny. Is this the way to go? It's like, okay, Venom first man in, Kenny the second man in, TJ potentially on the flex. That is a question mark. I'm not really sure the last time TJ was even running a flex. We saw in this series right here, he had a pretty poor series yesterday with the 74U up against the New York Subliners with a 0.73, and Kenny was kind of holding his own on the SMG. So the question is there, and the discussion was there from the team, do we decide to try and put TJ on a flex for a little bit, bring Venom in and actually up the pace of this team quite significantly? But to me, Kenny isn't exactly the quickest SMG in the world. If you're looking at potential pacing issues, Venom coming in with TJ as a pretty fast SMG as well alongside behind him, that might make more sense with Kenny then as the flex and then Slasher as the main AR than doing it the other way around where it seems like you're going to get somewhat slower pacing if TJ is kind of relegated to the flex position or maybe promoted to it. You could, well, depending on how good you think the QBZ is at the present time. And as he says as well, like, I played awfully in that series, finished the week 1-in-1. So yes, they do decide to make the change. Is this the right move? I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. This I thought was funny as well, because this was rumoured not too long ago from the COD zone, and at the time Kenny replied saying this was false. This aged well. I was just thinking it at the time. He actually thought it was false, but something clearly was going on behind the scenes that even Kenny on the team might not have been aware of. And these are their matches to finish off the stage, at least in terms of group play. So they play London on Friday in just a few days' time. That is certainly a winnable series for these guys, and that's going to be the first time we're going to get to see this new squad in action. Then they play FaZe not too long after that. And of course, that's going to be a serious test for Venom to see how he can actually do up against Simp and aBeZy, of course, over at the FaZe guys. And well, if they're changing that direction to try and upgrade their SMG line is a move in the right direction. And then they play LAG in this rematch next Sunday. The idea that, okay, they lost 3-0 there at the major. This is a time to prove, okay, this squad is significantly upgraded, and I certainly imagine they will do, based on how LAG have been looking at so far. But also, of course, there's the other side of things, which is talking about the Rokkr. They're in a relatively similar spot. You can look at the pacing, you can look at the SMG line on that team and say, okay, is it really doing the numbers we want it to? And well, an article at breakingpoint.gg right here, talking about why they're struggling so much and what some potential solutions might be there. Maybe something is on the horizon on this side. And just to finish up the video with this pretty funny thing from Sensor, from November 30th, 2020 until March 18th, 2021, so that being, of course, a few days ago, I've been competing on Black Ops Cold War with a 5 millisecond response time. Everyone has been on 1 millisecond. Sucks. I'm glad I was made aware of it. My confidence has skyrocketed. So yeah, Doug reckons this 5 milliseconds to 1 millisecond thing is, well, completely going to revolutionize this game, and maybe it will do indeed. I think it's pretty much confirmed, boys. Doug Sensor Martin is winning champs this time round. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I'm growing the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.